All right, today is the day. I have been talking for weeks now, and I've been telling you guys that the one thing in my house that I still really need to get done is the trim and the doors, especially in the kids' hallway, needs to be repainted. And I've been putting this off because I knew it was going to be such a daunting project. But I started my day. This was definitely not the plan of the morning, but as the day went on, it quickly became the thing. My husband loves when I do this, by the way. If you don't understand the sarcasm there, definitely not. But literally, I started my day like normal, cleaning up the bedroom, tidying up the bathroom, and then I was looking at the kids' hallway, and I'm like, you know what? I just need to suck it up and get this done. So in today's video, we are getting a ton done. This is multiple days of projects and cleaning and everything else. I'll also share with you a quick and easy pork chop recipe because I knew I was going to need something really quick and easy because on day one, the kids got to eat something that was just like frozen pizza or ramen, whatever they could make for themselves, because I totally did not have time to make dinner. I was knee deep in sanding and scraping these doors. So if you are looking for something that is like budget friendly and makes a big impact though in your house, this is one of those projects that is probably the most affordable and can make the biggest impact in your home. There's nothing worse than chipped and peeling paint, and it can be daunting, like I said, especially if you have doors like mine. So the issue with our doors, if you're new here, is the previous owner put a water-based paint on top of an oil-based paint, and those two things do not mix well. So it has been peeling pretty much since the day we moved in, and like I said, I've been putting it off, but today we're going to do it. And it was very satisfying to see everything finally looking fresh and new.
I'm looking up from my window. Sun's coming up like
So I have been getting people ask me when Freya's starting school and everything. So I know I've mentioned in the past, I've never sent my kids to preschool or anything like that. When they go to school, their first year is always kindergarten. And we actually just had the kindergarten orientation the other day. And oh my goodness, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that she is already starting kindergarten, and it's a little bit harder on me because with the boys and now Athena having September birthdays, they both were a year older than Freya is right now. But with her being an August birthday, she's just before that cutoff, but she is so ready. She wants to go to school so bad, and even for this, it wasn't even like orientation. It was filling out the paperwork, bringing in the vaccination forms, physical, all of that stuff. And she wanted to go with me just so she could see her school and everything. So we did that the other day. And it's just crazy that to think come this fall, I'm going to have 3 kids in school. I will still have little Athena home with me. I don't know what I'm going to do once she goes off to school also. But once I was done in the bedroom, I just sent in the robot vacuum. And this was a little bit while later when I was looking at this door. And this is what just finally got me is look at this. It just literally peels off. It's so bad. So I started by just trying to peel as much of this as possible inside, and I really didn't want to take off the doors. Freya ended up wanting to join me. I told her, I'm like, as long as you do what mommy says, I'm like, you can't just peel paint whenever you want. I'm like, but today we need to get all of this paint off. We spent probably an hour working on this and just peeling and scraping. I ended up getting some tools and everything. I will say though, it is very satisfying to peel as much of this off as possible.
ordering a bunch of food. I'll put your favorite music on all the way baritone. Shed the lights, go infrared. We can spend all day in bed.
A little bit later, you'll actually see Bjorn ended up wanting to get in on this as well. All the kids were like, ooh, we get to peel off all these doors. They were all about it. I'm like, sure, if you guys want to help out. I did try being neat about this at first, and I got the garbage bag to put the paint in. But honestly, as it was peeling, it was just like sticking to my fingers and everything, and it was just being a pain. So I quickly was like, you know what? I'm just going to let it land where it lands, and I will clean it up afterwards. Freya has a plastic scraper, don't worry. But I did grab one of our flat razors to do it myself. This definitely was a lot easier, and I was able to get a good amount of this off. I did, like I said, end up having Bobby take these doors off because I needed to get in there with more than just these scrapers and actually use a sander and everything. And I did not want to sand in the house and have all that dust and debris going everywhere and the kids breathing it in and everything. So we worked on as much as we could in here. I will say this ended up taking me a good 3 days, I believe. And a day and a half of it was literally just scraping and using the sandpaper. I literally had like paint particles and dust and stuff in my nose for like 3 days. It was so gross. All the like paint and stuff that just was blowing up everywhere, and trying to keep it from tracking all over the house. It was insane. I am very glad though that I finally got this done. I have wanted to do this, like I said, it's been a while. Well, realistically, I've wanted to do this since we moved in. I knew it needed to get done. And I'm really actually glad I waited because originally I was just going to go white and leave it like that and giving myself time to kind of process what I really wanted. I ended up going with the Sherwin-Williams Perfect Gray. I love that color. That is the same color we have in our bedroom currently. And I love it because it really tone-wise goes to what you have in your house. So in our house, we have a more warm feel. We like the beiges, the more natural tones and everything. And it pulls more warm than cool gray. But it's definitely one of those colors that if you have more blues and the cooler tones in your home, it's going to pick up those colors. It's a really, really good neutral. But especially in hallways like this where doors take up so much real estate and a hallway can be really, really boring. This was a way to really just break stuff up, add some character to it, and I love the way it turns out. One little hint though is when I went shopping for paint, like I said, it's Sherwin-Williams is where I ended up going, and with the primer, I ended up asking them to tint the primer as well as the paint. That way, when I put the primer coat on, it already started to have that tone, and it made it where I was able to use a lot less coats.
I've got this feeling, I'm feeling you could be the one. I see no reason why I should ever let you go. I don't wanna wake up if I'm dreaming, because you know I can't get enough of this feeling you're giving me. Don't wanna wake up. No, I don't wanna wake up. I don't wanna wake up.
So the other reason it was actually really good that I had Bobby take these doors off is once they were down, we noticed there were some areas of these doors that needed some repair work to them. Now, I could have gone out and bought all new doors, and these 6-panel doors, they're hollow core doors. They're not solid wood. I would love if they were solid wood, but they are not. They're hollow core. They aren't crazy expensive, but once you add up every door in your house, having to buy them, it can add up really quickly. So us taking them down, Bobby was able to put in some wood glue, a couple nails in the areas that needed just a little bit more support, and they're working so much better. And the nice thing is also I was able to paint the bottoms and the tops, which will seal them and not allow them to pull in as much moisture. With living in Florida, the humidity down here is insane. So a lot of times the issue and the reason why these doors were having problems is in the summer they would expand from the humidity and then they'd get stuck in the doorway jams and stuff like that. So doing a full coat on these definitely will make them last a lot longer and just be a lot better. This was the next door that I had to work on, and I knew I wanted to scrape before I sanded. This amount of paint just peeling up would end up gunking up my sander so quickly that going in and trying to scrape up as much of this as possible definitely saves a lot of time and a lot of sandpaper.
I wouldn't know what to do, baby, without. I wouldn't know what to do. Oh, you know, oh, you know, oh, you know. You got me wrapped around your finger. Tell me what you wanna do. I think we're part of something bigger, and now my mind is filled with you. Oh, you know, oh, you know, oh, you know. Oh, you know, oh, you know, oh, you know. Baby, without.
Now, if I can give you any advice coming from someone that definitely was feeling extremely overwhelmed by the idea of this project, is break it down into manageable sections. So like I said, on this day or days, I was purely focusing on the hallway of the kids' bedroom. That's all I was focusing on. And over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to tackle other sections of the house. Slowly, I want to repaint all the trim, repaint all the doors and everything. But I know this is one of those things that I'm not going to get it done in a weekend. There's no way. So if I can 1 week do this hallway and then the next week work on the front entrance and the family room and then so on and so forth, it's a lot more manageable and a lot less overwhelming. And one nice thing is when you start on an area like the kids' hallway, this had made such a dramatic difference that it has motivated me to do a lot more because I absolutely love the way it looks. It looks clean, it looks fresh, and the contrasting color from our wall color is Snowbound. You guys always ask me that one as well. And I love that colors, but having this just to contrast it and give just a little bit more character is exactly what that space needed. And it's definitely given me the motivation to keep on with this project. But like I said, bite size. Things don't have to all be done in one day or one weekend. I know with these videos, you often are like, it looks so much easier than it is. And often we'll pick up projects and it's like, oh, well, we didn't have enough time to do it. So we don't do it if we can't do it fully. But I always say when it comes to cleaning progress over perfection, you can also do that when it comes to home updates and upgrades. This, as you can see, is the next day. I knew I had a lot more work to do, but I wanted to just get the house tidied up first because when I am done working, I like to come inside and relax, and I relax best in a clean and organized space. So that was my goal, is just get it clean and organized. That way, when I was done for the day, that I could actually enjoy it. But the other thing was, the day before, like I said, dinner ended up not being made. So I wanted to put together a super easy crock pot dinner. That way I had already started dinner. I just put it on low and slow, let it go all day. That way when it was time to eat, we could have a fresh homemade meal and it wasn't that much work.
About to leave, already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking, we'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions, we'll get away. This is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out.
I will say though, the benefit of not cooking the night before is kitchen cleanup in the morning was super easy. I didn't have any pots or anything to scrub and whatnot. I know I always tell you guys, I don't usually clean at night. I am so exhausted after dinner that I usually go straight to bed, watch my show, and usually fall asleep during my show. I usually don't even finish an entire show. So all my cleaning normally gets done right away in the morning. I get the most done between 10 and noon. That is the window that Athena normally goes down for her first nap. She takes her longest nap right then in the morning. So I can usually get the majority of my work done. That is also another reason why I think this ended up taking 3 days compared to maybe 2. I probably could have done it in 2 if I didn't have a 7-month-old to take care of. But needless to say, we are working around nap schedules and feedings, and Bobby was super helpful and playing with her and taking care of her. But there's some things that he can't do. Unfortunately, he's got useless nipples, and I am the only one that can produce the food for the baby. So I often get asked about these chairs. I love these chairs. They are so easy to clean. And with having kids, I used to have fabric chairs. And you know what? It's not horribly difficult to clean them. But kids are just so messy that having these ones have been so much nicer. I got them just from At Home. It's funny though, because I have been noticing lately a lot of the things that I either got from At Home or ordered off of Wayfair when we first bought this house is all over my Instagram and my TikTok and even my YouTube of things there as well. So I found them at Home, but if you are on TikTok or anything like that, I know I have seen ads on there as well that they can be ordered. So just keep your eye out. I was laughing. One of my favorite chairs is in Athena's room, and it's this upholstered chair with the wooden arms. It's a super sleek, modern looking chair, and it's super comfortable. And it is so popular right now. And I'm like, I bought that thing 3 years ago. I'm a trendsetter. Not really. But I just think it's funny when I see items that I already have in my home that now have just become super popular. Luckily, there's certain things in my home that I know won't become super popular because you can't buy them on TikTok Shop, like this dining room table. I still absolutely love this dining room table. Bobby did such a beautiful job making this table. It's definitely going to be one of those items that I hope will get handed down to the children because the memories of making it and everything, and it really is just a stunning piece of furniture. He did such a good job.
Let me tell you this, let me tell you right now, your exquisite kiss still burning. Didn't know I missed this passion in life. Now I'm addicted somehow. Let me tell you what is up with your smile? It's impossible, not melting, irresistible. When I look through your eyes, not even sky's the limit.
And then last but not least, I was just going to do a quick tidy up of the family room. So I know certain areas of your house can feel like, okay, why do I clean this up? It's just going to be like this again in 20 minutes. And the family room is that to me. I often am like, I don't know why I'm putting the baby's stuff away. She's going to wake up from her nap and want them. But I also know that if I stay on top of it, it never gets super crazy. Have you ever heard the whole clutter collects clutter and mess creates mess? It is such a true thing. And often you can do projects that you're like doing it multiple times a day or multiple times a week, and it just feels useless. But I have found that when I don't do those things, the house gets a lot more hectic, because if things aren't put away, the kids are less likely to clean up after themselves. So if dishes are in the sink and on the counter, even if there's room in the dishwasher, they're not going to look for it. If there's toys out and everything, and Freya brings out her toys, she's less apt to clean up after herself because, well, that's already a mess. So it's such a true statement that mess creates mess and clutter attracts clutter, that I do try and just keep up with it. Even if it's just once a day, giving it a quick wipe down and a quick tidy. It's one of those things that in the long run, it may not seem like it's going to make a huge difference, but it really does. But on to dinner. Like I said, we are going super quick and easy when it comes to dinner. I just kind of looked in my fridge and my pantry and it's like, okay, what do I have? What can I throw together? And I just grabbed out a couple things that I knew would work in the slow cooker. I know some people don't love slow cooker meals. I absolutely love slow cooker meals. I feel like it's one of the best things when you have a busy day or just don't feel like cooking. I can pretty much throw everything in here, put it on low, and just let it cook till we are ready to eat. So I grabbed one onion, sliced that up. I had a bag of potatoes, so I just quickly washed them and diced those up and put this all at the bottom. And this is just kind of nice because they are going to sit in all the juices of the meat and everything. And then it also just allows the meat to sit on top of there, so you don't have to worry about anything sticking to the bottom. I love layering my crock pot like this. Putting your starch and your vegetables at the bottom of the crock pot just makes it so there is so much more flavor in the long run. And then make sure to season your layers. So I'm just doing a quick salt and pepper on the potatoes and onions, nothing too crazy. But I'm going to work on the sauce that I'm going to put inside of it. So once again, real easy. If you want to make your own cream of whatever soup, definitely feel free. I did a can of cream of mushroom and a can of cream of chicken, but you could also use cream of celery or any other ones. If you're not a huge mushroom fan, you can do 2 cream of chicken. Season your pork chops well on both sides. So I did onion powder, garlic powder, and then just some Cajun seasoning on there. Rubbed them in really well. And then these all go right on top of those potatoes. I tried to put them in one single layer as much as possible. It took a little bit of finagling. I also always have a hard time because I never know how much food I need to make for dinner, because there are some days that my boys will devour what I made for dinner and I'll be like, man, I should have made more. And then there's other days where I'm like, okay, the kids usually devour this meal, so I'm going to make extra. And then they eat like little birds. So I always make extra. Bobby and I do not mind having leftovers. So if you're ever like, wow, you make big meals, it's because I never know how much my boys are going to eat. You got to love this age. But then you just put the sauce on top. Like I said, put it on low. I let it sit like that for the rest of the day, and it was back outside to work on these doors. Like I said, I got our primer tinted, so this is not the actual color it's going to be, but I wanted to show you this because it definitely is a much more dramatic difference with the primer going on than the paint going over the primer, because you get a little bit of color over the white and it kind of gives you a little bit of an idea. I'll be honest, even just putting this coat of primer, I loved the way it looks. Oh, another thing to keep in mind. So if your doors are like mine, where they have this wood graining to them, you definitely do not need to use a roller. Those brush strokes and everything do not show up the same, where if you have a flat panel door with no texture, that's when I would recommend getting a really good foam roller to prevent any brush strokes or anything like that. But in my case, because there's so much texture in the door already, you have a little bit more wiggle room.
Did you pack the flashlight, the blanket, and the map? It's a real adventure, the trail you're looking at. I'm glad you came. For a while I thought you might be bailing. Is that the same yellow shirt you used to wear? But 1,000 years seem like almost no time now. This guitar right here, do you still remember how I played for you? I was crappy, but you sang along, and I thought you knew I could die to keep you near. We've got a fire in the tent. It's 5:30 a.m. Let's be the kids who left, get in trouble again. Let's talk enough.
Now, this part of the process, this is probably the part that I enjoyed the most. You get to see the biggest transformation, but it also didn't take that long. This was another thing that was about a day and a half worth of work, but mainly because you have to have the different layers, the dry time in between and everything. But when I was actually doing it, I was able to knock out each of the doors. I think I've got, I'm working on 4 doors. Yes, including the slatted ones. In about 30 minutes, it took to do all 4 doors a coat. So I ended up doing 1 coat of the primer, 2 coats of the actual paint color. So overall, that was about an hour and a half worth of painting when it came to these doors. So it wasn't too bad. I did end up also deciding, though, that I wanted to do the opposite side while they were hanging up. One, the kids just really wanted their doors back, which I totally understand, but I did not want to hang them back up till I at least had this first coat on here and it was completely dry. This paint is one of those paints that it's super hardy. It is a little bit more expensive from Sherwin-Williams, but I was comfortable getting it because my mom has a business account with them, so she gets a little bit cheaper than, well, not a little bit. She gets a really good discount there, so it made it worth it in the long run, which, by the way, paint has gotten so expensive nowadays. Oh, every time I go and buy paint, I'm like, man, I feel like it's just gone more and more expensive. Like, paint used to be the super affordable way to update your house, and in some ways it still very much is, but compared to 4 or 5 years ago, the paint prices have definitely increased and changed in the long run. But I still think it's worth it. It makes a huge impact, and if you're willing to just take the time and the patience, I definitely think it's worth the time to do this.
My friends and I will talk like every other day, shaking the park where all the boys are riding skateboards. They look so hot, they look so cool. Everyone is around, and that's when I saw that someone new not from around. You see on holiday, or will they stick around? He looks so hot.
Now, I did save you some of the prep work on camera because, man, this video would have been like 3 hours long if I showed you guys every single coat and every time I sanded something. So I did save you guys that. So I just did a rough sand on the trim. It was not peeling, so it didn't need a major sand job on it. I just wanted to rough it up, get rid of the glossy shininess of it, and then I'm going in with, once again, primer. It is so worth taking this extra step and priming before painting just for longevity reasons, especially when it comes to trim. If you have pets or if you have children, you know trim and doors just get beat up really easy between walkers and balls and whatever. Like, they just get beat up so much easier. So going in with a paint that's a little bit more expensive and a primer that's a little bit more expensive, the nice thing is 1 gallon goes a very, very long way. And if you actually give it that cure time that it needs, it makes it last so much better and look so much better in the long run. One thing that always drives me crazy when making these videos is I know on camera, like, my trim and everything doesn't look that bad, but in person, you can really see the scuffs and dings and dirt and everything that's just building up on here, which is the other reason I really wanted to go in with something that wasn't just white. Bailey, our St. Bernard, loves to lay in this hallway, and he always lays up right against the trim work, and it just gets dirty so quickly. And don't get me wrong, I'm still going to clean the trim on a regular basis and everything, but it's nice to have something that's not going to look dirty as quickly. So if I'm not getting to cleaning it right away, it's not going to drive me absolutely bonkers. So, like I said, kind of a good thing that I didn't get it done right away like I originally wanted to, and I took my time. Well, let's be realistic. I procrastinated because if I would have done this when we first moved in, I would have just done it white like we did the trim. And I love this contrasting color so much more. I do now have to decide, though, when it comes to in the kids' rooms, am I going to keep their trim white or am I going to add some color also? Have you guys seen the trend of color drenching rooms? Now, I don't usually like that in like big rooms, mainly because I know I can get bored easily. And if I color drench a room and then get bored of it in like a year or two, it's a lot of work to get rid of it. But I love the way it looks. Who was it? Oh, I'm going blank on names. Oh, I'm probably going to think of her name in a little bit. But one of the girls that I follow, she just did her office. Becky Moss. If you don't follow Becky, I love her. She's got a bunch of little rugrats and everything. And she just did her office. She color drenched it in this beautiful, like, light pink color, and it's stunning, absolutely stunning. I just know myself and I get bored too easy, so doing trim and doors and ceilings and everything is a little much. However, I am considering doing it in our master bathroom. So it's a small room, so I figure if I get bored in the future, I can do it. But yeah, now I got to figure out the kids' rooms, because Freya's room and the boys' room, they definitely need to get done as well. But do I go with just this color, or do I do something a little bit different and a little bit more fun? I already have an idea for our bedroom. That'll be in the future. I don't know when that's going to happen, when I have time and when I get other stuff done. But their rooms I'm still trying to figure out. You can see, though, this was the next day after the trim had dried and everything. I didn't want Bobby hanging the doors till the trim had a full night to cure and dry. But the next day he hung them, and I'm like, okay, let's do this. That way when the boys get home from school, they'll be excited that they have doors again. And I told them to still be careful with the doors, but at least it was dry before they got home.
You as you drive, do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we?
So I'm also considering doing a little mini makeover in Freya's room coming up. So usually around 12 to 18 months is when I have moved the kids from their cribs into a big kid bed. It's always been a situation at about that 12 to 18 months, all of my kids started climbing, and I was not comfortable with them being in a crib and possibly falling out of it. So when that time's come is when Athena will move into Freya's room, and they will end up sharing a room. So I was thinking about maybe doing a little makeover before she gets moved in here. And I'm just trying to decide, do I go with like a neutral top in the room? Right now it's that like bluish gray in here. Do I go with something that's a little bit more neutral and then change the door and the trim and everything to like a pretty pink, or opposite? Do I keep it white and then do something on top with some color? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I've also thought about doing some sort of mural, but I'm not quite sure what type of mural. Do I do princesses or flowers, or I don't know. You guys know I love doing different murals. When Freya was first born, I did a flower mural in her nursery. I've done cityscapes in the boys' bedrooms when they were younger. We did a whole like underwater theme when we first moved down here in Freya's room. So I love doing stuff like that. I'm just trying to figure out what I should do or if I keep it a little bit more natural. But wanted to show you guys these afters. Just love the way this turned out. So if you guys are looking for something that's affordable and will make a big impact in your house, I highly recommend maybe trying painting the trims and doorways in your house. But hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye.